Captain Kang Day stared at the message on his command screen. He read it 3 times, hoping the words would somehow change. They did not. Immediate ceasefire ordered by Galactic Council. All military operations suspended. Return to designated holding positions. Peace negotiations begin in 30 days. Behind him, Lieutenant Tay cleared his throat. "Sir, did you see the message?" "I saw it," Kang Day said quietly. His jaw tightened. "I saw it." The bridge of the human warship Defiant hummed with barely contained energy. 40 crew members sat at their stations, hands hovering over controls, waiting. They had been 3 hours away from striking a critical target. 3 hours from cutting off the enemy supply line. 3 hours from changing the war. Now they were ordered to stop. "Send acknowledgement of the message," Kang Day ordered. "But maintain course and speed." Tay's eyes widened. "Sir?" "You heard me." The war between the Galactic Council and the Vren Imperium had lasted 83 cycles. By human counting, that meant 120 years. Entire star systems had been reduced to floating debris. Billions had died. Ancient civilizations had been erased from existence. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council only 15 years ago. When the Council made first contact with Earth, they had been surprised to find a species that had not destroyed itself with nuclear weapons. Most species either never developed such weapons or died using them. Humans had made them and somehow survived. The Council had welcomed humanity but kept them at arm's length. Humans were given small roles, minor defensive positions. They were the newcomers, the unproven ones. Let them guard empty sectors while the real warriors fought the real battles. Kang Day had not minded. He used the time to watch and learn. He studied how the Council fought their wars. He noticed their patterns, their habits, their limitations, and he made plans. Engineer Hana appeared on his secondary screen. Her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp. "Captain, you need to hear this, and go ahead. I've been monitoring Vren communications. They're encrypted channels." She paused. "They're moving their dreadnoughts. All of them. They're repositioning for something big." "During a ceasefire?" Tay interjected. Hana nodded. "Exactly during a ceasefire. Sir, I think they're using this pause to set up a final attack. All their major ships are heading toward Council core worlds." Kang Day leaned back in his chair. He was not surprised. He had fought the Vren for 3 years. He knew how they thought. Honor and peace meant nothing to them. Only victory mattered. "Send your findings to Admiral Yuna on Earth," he said. "She needs to know." "Already done, sir. She's compiling a report for the Council now." "Good." Kang Day stood up. "Tay, plot an intercept course for the Vren supply depot at grid 884. "But sir, the ceasefire is being used by the enemy to prepare for another attack." Kang Day's voice was steel. "If we follow this order, the Council will be destroyed. Every world we were sent to protect will burn." Tay hesitated. "The Council will be furious if we disobey." "Let them be furious. Better furious and alive than peaceful and dead." Across the galaxy, Admiral Yuna sat in her office on Earth. She was reading the same ceasefire order. She was also reading Hana's intelligence report. The data was clear. The Vren were not honoring the peace. They were exploiting it. She opened a secure channel to the Galactic Council chambers. 47 alien species had representatives there. They were ancient races with long histories and longer memories. They had fought wars before Earth's sun had formed. "Admiral Yuna," said Council Speaker Vel, a being that looked like a floating crystal, "we trust you received the ceasefire order." "We did." "Then why are we receiving reports of human fleet movements?" Yuna smiled coldly. "Because we have intelligence that the Vren are violating the ceasefire. We have heard your so-called intelligence. We do not find it credible." "Not credible?" "My engineer intercepted their military communications. They are positioning for a final strike." Another counselor spoke, this one resembling a massive insect. "The Vren have agreed to peace talks. We have fought for 83 cycles. We are tired. This war must end." "Then end it with victory," Yuna said. "Not surrender disguised as peace." "Your species has been in this war for 15 years, Vel said. "We have fought for over a century. You do not understand our exhaustion." Yuna's eyes narrowed. "You're right. We don't understand. 15 years is nothing to us. Humanity has fought wars that lasted 30 years, 50 years, 100 years. We've had conflicts that spanned generations. 15 years?" She laughed. "We're just getting started." Silence filled the chamber. "You would continue fighting?" asked another counselor. Until we win? Yes, that is madness, that is human. Back on the Defiant, Kang Day's fleet approached the Vren supply depot. It was a massive station heavily defended. Normally, it would take a full battle group to assault it. Kang Day had 3 ships. Hana, status on their defenses? He asked. Shields at full power. Weapons systems active. They have 16 fighter squadrons and 8 defensive platforms. They're not expecting an attack during a ceasefire, Tay noted. No, Kang Day agreed. They're not. He pulled up a tactical display. The depot had strong frontal defenses but weaker sides. The Vren always built their stations the same way. They were efficient but predictable. Begin approach vector Gamma 4. Hana, prepare electronic countermeasures. Tay, ready all weapons. The crew moved with practiced precision. These were veterans. They had survived battles that killed others. They trusted their captain. Sir, incoming transmission from Council Command, the communications officer said. They're ordering us to stand down immediately. Ignore it. Sir, I said ignore it. The Defiant and its 2 escort ships moved into position. Kang Day watched the depot grow larger on his screens. His finger hovered over the attack command. He thought about the Council, about their weariness, about their desperate hope for peace. He understood it. War was terrible. It destroyed everything it touched, but losing was worse. All ships, he said calmly, begin attack run. Target their shield generators first. Show them what happens when you give humans 15 years to prepare. The Defiant opened fire. Blue energy beams lanced across space, striking the depot's shields. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. The battle had begun. And somewhere in council chambers, 47 species watched their screens in shock as the humans ignored the ceasefire and went to war anyway. The Vren supply depot burned. Kang Day watched it from the bridge of the Defiant as his ships pulled away. The station's shields had collapsed in 14 minutes. Its weapon systems had gone offline in 22. By the 30-minute mark, the depot was nothing but a floating wreck. Casualty report? He asked. Minimal damage to escort ship Dawn, Tay replied. No casualties. The Vren never expected an attack. They won't make that mistake again. Kang Day turned to his communications officer. Send full battle reports to Admiral Yuna. Include all tactical data. Within hours, the Galactic Council exploded in fury. Counselor Mina stood before the assembly, representing humanity. She was a diplomat, trained in the careful language of peace. But today, peace was not what the Council wanted to hear about. The humans have violated the ceasefire. Speaker Vel's crystalline body pulsed with angry red light. They attacked a Vren station during negotiations. A military target, Mina corrected. A supply depot that was actively supporting. Silence! The insect counselor's mandibles clacked together. We ordered all species to stand down. Your kind disobeyed. This is unacceptable. Mina remained calm. She had expected this. We acted on intelligence we deemed unreliable. Another counselor, a being made of living gas, swirled angrily. You are new to the council. You do not get to decide when ceasefire orders apply to you. Then perhaps we made a mistake, Mina said softly. Joining a council that prefers comfortable lies to uncomfortable truths. The chamber erupted. 47 species shouted at once. Mina stood quietly, waiting for the storm to pass. She had learned from Admiral Yuna, sometimes silence was louder than words. Finally, Vel spoke again. The council votes on humanity's expulsion. All in favor. Oh, before you vote, Mina interrupted. Admiral Yuna has requested to address the council. We have heard enough from humans today. With respect, you haven't heard anything yet. Yuna's image appeared on the massive central display. She wore her military uniform. Every medal earned through blood and fire. Her face was hard, her eyes harder. Counselors, she began. Engineer Hana of the Defiant intercepted Vren communications 2 days ago. With your permission, I'll share them now. We have reviewed your so-called intelligence, Vel said dismissively. You reviewed a summary. I'm going to show you the actual transmissions. Data flooded the council's screens. Encrypted messages decoded by Hana's genius. Orders moving Vren dreadnoughts. Coordinates for strikes on council homeworlds. Timelines for an operation called Final Dawn. The chamber fell silent. This could be fabricated, one counselor said weakly. It's not, Yuna replied. And deep down you know it's not. You're just too tired to face it. We have fought for 83 cycles, Vel said quietly. Our worlds are exhausted. Our people are dying. We need this peace. I understand, Yuna said, and her voice held genuine sympathy. I truly do. 83 cycles is a long time. For you, what do you mean? Humanity has been in space for 200 years. We've been part of this war for 15 years. By our standards, that's barely a regional conflict. We've had religious wars that lasted 30 years. Civil wars that spanned 50 years. We once had a conflict called the 100 Years' War. Guess how long it lasted? The council stared. You're tired, Yuna continued. I respect that. But we're not. 15 years? We're just warming up. So here's what's going to happen. You can vote to expel us if you want, but we're going to keep fighting. With or without you. That's suicide, the insect counselor said. The Vren will crush you. Maybe, or maybe we'll surprise you. Yuna smiled. Humans are good at that. The vote on expulsion failed. Barely. Many counselors abstained, too confused to choose. As the meeting ended, Vel contacted Yuna privately. Why? The speaker asked. Why would you fight alone if you must? Because that's what we do, Yuna said simply. We're human. Earth's military mobilized within days. Every shipyard went into full production. Factories that had been building civilian vessels switched to warships. Mining operations on Mars and Europa accelerated. The asteroid belt became a vast construction zone. Dr. Sung worked in his laboratory deep beneath Seoul. He was humanity's chief weapons researcher. For 15 years he had been studying Vren technology, and council technology, and anything else he could get his hands on. Show me the prototype, he said to his assistant. A sleek missile appeared on the display. It looked small, almost delicate. It was anything but. We've combined Vren plasma focusing with council shield penetration technology, the assistant explained. Add human guidance systems and we have a weapon that can hit a target the size of a fighter cockpit from 10,000 kilometers. Sung finished. I know, I designed it. How many can we produce? Current factories can make 50 per day. Not enough. Open 6 more production lines. I want 300 per day by next week. Sir, that's impossible. Impossible is a word council species use, Sung said coldly. We're human. We don't believe in impossible. We believe in working harder. Across the galaxy, Thala watched it all unfold. Thala was a council observer, a member of a species that had stopped fighting wars millennia ago. They had evolved beyond violence, or so they believed. Now they watched other species fight while they recorded and studied. Thala had been assigned to document the human war effort. They expected to see a species preparing for a brave but futile last stand. Instead, they saw something that confused them deeply. The humans were accelerating. Every day, more ships launched. More weapons rolled off assembly lines. More soldiers trained for combat. The council species had slowed down after 83 cycles of war. The humans were speeding up after 15 years. Don't you get tired? Thala asked Yuna during an interview. Of course we get tired, Yuna replied. We just don't let being tired stop us. But the war has cost you so much. Thousands of human lives lost. Resources depleted. Entire colonies damaged. That's war. We knew what we signed up for. The council species are weary. They want peace, and so do we. But not a peace that means slavery or death. We'll take actual peace. Peace through victory, Thala made notes. Your psychologists say humans evolved on what you call a death world. That Earth was unusually hostile compared to other homeworlds. That's right. And this made you, what, stronger? No, Yuna said. It made us stubborn. There's a difference. Strength is about how hard you can hit. Stubbornness is about how many times you'll keep hitting after you should have stopped. I don't understand, Yuna smiled. I know. That's why you'll lose if you ever fight us. While diplomats talked and factories built, Kang Day's fleet continued its campaign. They hit another Vren supply station. Then a fuel depot. Then a communication relay. Each target was chosen carefully. Each strike hurt the Vren war machine. The council sent increasingly angry messages. Kang Day ignored them all. Sir, we're being called war criminals, Tay said, reading the latest transmission. By people who wanted us to sit quietly while the enemy prepared to kill them? I'll take it as a compliment. Hana appeared on the screen. Captain, I've intercepted new Vren communications. They're accelerating their timeline. They know we're onto them. How long until Final Dawn launches? 10 days? Maybe less, Kang Day nodded slowly. Send that to Admiral Yuna. And Tay? Sir, prepare the fleet. We're about to get very busy. Back on Earth, Yuna received Hana's report. She read it 3 times just as Kang Day had read the ceasefire order. Then she made a decision. She opened a broadcast to all human forces across known space. Every ship, every station, every outpost received the same message. This is Admiral Yuna. The enemy is preparing a final strike against the Council homeworlds. They believe the Council is too weak to respond. They're right, but they've forgotten about us, she paused. For 15 years, we've been the newcomers, the untested ones, the species that other races patted on the head and sent to guard empty space. They told us to learn our place. Well, we've learned it, another pause. Our place is wherever we decide to fight. Our place is standing between civilians and those who would harm them. Our place is showing the galaxy what happens when you tell humans to quit while we're just getting started. She smiled. All forces, begin Operation Endurance. Show them what 15 years of human preparation looks like. Across the galaxy, human ships began to move. Commander Yule stood on the bridge of the stealth ship Shadow. Around him, darkness pressed in from all sides. The ship ran silent, invisible to most sensors. It was exactly where Yule wanted to be. Target acquired, his navigator whispered. Friend command cruiser bearing 270. Distance? 12,000 kilometers. They haven't detected us. Yule studied the cruiser on his display. It was massive, bristling with weapons, one of the Vren fleet's command ships. The kind of target that should be attacked by an entire battle group, not a single stealth vessel. But humans didn't follow the rules of should. Load torpedo bay 1 through 6, he ordered quietly. Prepare for rapid fire sequence. Sir, even if we hit them, they'll detect us immediately after. We'll be alone against a command cruiser. Then we better not miss. Yule smiled in the darkness. Fire when ready. 6 torpedoes launched in rapid succession. They were Dr. Sung's new design, small and fast and deadly. The Vren cruiser's shields never stood a chance. The first torpedo punched through. The second hit the command deck. By the 6th, the cruiser was dying. Shadow vanished back into the darkness before the Vren could respond. 1 down, Yule said. 17 more to go. 3 days into Operation Endurance, the Vren launched Final Dawn. Their dreadnoughts appeared across Council space simultaneously. Massive ships, each one capable of glassing a planet. They emerged from faster-than-light travel with weapons already charging. The Council worlds were caught unprepared. Their fleets were scattered, pulled back according to ceasefire orders. Their defenses were minimal. The Council had truly believed in peace. The Vren had believed in victory. The attack on the world of Velios was meant to be decisive. 8 Vren dreadnoughts appeared in orbit. The planet below held billions of civilians. The Council's central command was located there. If Velios fell, the Council would collapse. The dreadnoughts began their bombardment. Then the humans arrived. Kang Day's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly between the Vren ships and the planet. He had only 12 vessels. The enemy had 8 dreadnoughts and 30 support ships. Sir, we're outnumbered 4 to 1, Tay said unnecessarily. I know. Isn't it wonderful? Kang Day pulled up tactical displays. Hana, what's their command structure look like? Flagship is the dreadnought at position Alpha. Take it out, and the others will need 17 minutes to reorganize command protocols. 17 minutes is a lifetime in battle. Kang Day opened a channel to his fleet. All ships focus fire on the flagship. Everything we have, the human ships moved as one. Their weapons, designed by Sung's team, struck with precision. The Vren flagship's shields held for 10 seconds. Then they failed. The dreadnought listed to one side, trailing atmosphere. Flagship disabled, Hana reported. Remaining Vren ships are in disarray. Good, now we make them hurt. The battle for Velios lasted 6 hours. Kang Day's fleet danced between the larger Vren ships, too fast to target effectively, hitting weak points with surgical precision. It was not the Council's way of fighting. They preferred massive fleet engagements, ship-of-the-line battles with honor and rules. Humans preferred winning. By the time reinforcements arrived, 5 Vren dreadnoughts were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 3 had retreated. Kang Day had lost 2 ships and taken severe damage to 4 others. The Council is sending a message, the communications officer said. They're asking if we need assistance. Kang Day laughed bitterly. Tell them we're fine, and ask them where they were an hour ago. But Velios was only one battle. The world of Crystallis faced its own assault. 4 Vren dreadnoughts and no human ships nearby. The crystalline inhabitants prepared to die. Then Lieutenant Tay arrived. His ship, the Dawn, was one of humanity's older vessels. It had survived dozens of engagements through luck and crew skill. Now Tay pushed it to its limits. 1 ship against 4 dreadnoughts, his weapons officer said. Sir, what's the plan? Stay alive long enough for help to come. How long will that take? 36 hours. The crew stared at him. You're serious, the weapons officer said. Deadly serious. Tay pulled up a star chart. Crystallis has a dense asteroid field in its outer system. We're going to hide, strike, and run. Make them angry. Make them chase us. Make them waste time. And if they ignore us and bombard the planet anyway, then we ram them, Tay said it simply. Better we die than billions of civilians. For 36 hours, Tay played a deadly game of cat and mouse. The Dawn would emerge from the asteroid field, fire a salvo, and disappear again. The Vren grew frustrated, angry. They sent fighters after the human ship. Tay destroyed the fighters, they sent cruisers. Tay led them into asteroid ambushes. Finally, exhausted and furious, the Vren commander made a mistake. He sent all 4 dreadnoughts into the asteroid field to corner the human ship. That's when the asteroid started exploding. Tay had spent 36 hours planting explosives on key asteroids. When the Vren ships entered the field, he triggered them all. Massive rocks became missiles. Dreadnoughts designed to survive fleet battles were crushed by debris. 3 hours later, human reinforcements arrived to find Crystallis saved and Tay sleeping in his captain's chair. Meanwhile, Earth faced its own crisis. The Vren had not forgotten humanity's homeworld. A strike force had been sent specifically to punish the upstart species. 6 dreadnoughts appeared in Earth's orbit. Dr. Sung watched them from his laboratory screen. They're here, his assistant said, voice shaking. Yes, Sung replied calmly. Right on time. On time? I've been expecting them for 3 days. Why do you think I've been working around the clock? The Vren dreadnoughts began their approach. Earth's orbital defenses activated. Missile platforms launched their payloads. Defense satellites opened fire. The Vren shields absorbed it all easily. Then they hit Sung's surprise. Hidden among the debris field left by humanity's early space exploration were weapons. Mines that looked like old satellites, torpedoes disguised as junk, entire weapons platforms that had been powered down and cold, invisible to sensors. They all activated at once. The closest Vren dreadnought simply exploded. The others reeled from the sudden assault. Their shields flickered and failed under the concentrated fire. Surprise, Sung said softly. Did you think we'd leave our homeworld undefended? The battle for Earth lasted 18 hours. When it was over, all 6 Vren dreadnoughts were destroyed. Earth had lost 37 defense platforms and taken damage to its orbital cities. But it had survived. Sung immediately began rebuilding the defenses. Thala observed all of this with growing confusion. They had been documenting human warfare for weeks now. The data made no sense. By every metric, humans should be exhausted. They had fought continuously since Operation Endurance began. Their casualties were mounting. Their resources were being depleted, yet they kept fighting. Thala reviewed the records of Council species. After 30 years of war, most species showed signs of fatigue. After 50 years, war weariness became universal. After 80 years, the desire for peace overcame all other considerations. Humans had been fighting for 15 years and showed no signs of slowing. How? Thala asked Bo, a human psychologist assigned to the Council observation team. Bo smiled. Because we're barely started. That makes no sense. 15 years is a significant period. For you, maybe. Humans measure history differently. We have records going back 10,000 years. Wars that lasted generations. Conflicts that became part of our cultural identity. But you lost people in those wars. Surely you wanted them to end? Of course we did. But wanting something to end and giving up are different things. Bo pulled up historical records. We once had a war where one nation was invaded completely. Their government fell. Their army was scattered. Most species would have surrendered. What did humans do? They formed a resistance. They fought for years from hiding. They never stopped believing they could win. And eventually they did. Thala processed this. You're saying humans don't understand when they're beaten? No, we understand perfectly well. We just don't care. Bo smiled wider. There's a human saying it's not over until we win. That's illogical. That's human. In council chambers, Speaker Vel watched reports from across the galaxy. Everywhere humans were fighting. Everywhere they were winning. Not through overwhelming force, but through sheer relentless determination. How are they doing this? Vel asked Counselor Mina. They're not tired yet, Mina said simply. After all they've lost? All they've suffered? Admiral Yuna tried to explain it. 15 years is nothing to us. We measure conflicts in generations, not cycles. Vel's crystalline body pulsed with confused colors. Your species is either brave or insane. Why not both? Mina smiled. We're human. We contain multitudes. Kangde received reports from across the battle zones. Yule's stealth campaign had destroyed 23 Vren command ships. Tay's defense of Crystallis had become legendary. Earth's survival had shocked the Vren High Command. But the war was not over. Hana, what's the Vren status? He asked. They're regrouping. Final Dawn was supposed to be decisive. Instead, they've lost over 60% of their dreadnought fleet. Their supply lines are cut. Their command structure is in chaos. Good. Now we finish them. Sir, the Council is asking us to accept a ceasefire. The Vren want to negotiate. Kang Day looked at the message. Then he looked at his crew. Tired faces. The Vren High Commander stood in his flagship's war room, staring at tactical displays that made no sense. His empire had ruled space for 3,000 years. They had crushed dozens of civilizations. They had fought the Galactic Council to a standstill for over a century. Now they were losing to a species that had been in space for only 200 years. Explain this, he demanded, pointing at a display showing human fleet movements. His intelligence officer trembled. The humans have launched 214 offensive operations in 3 weeks. They've destroyed 63% of our dreadnought fleet. Our supply chains are collapsing. Our commanders are afraid. Afraid? Of a species we outnumber 10 to 1? They keep coming, High Commander. We destroy their ships and more appear. We kill their soldiers and more volunteer. They don't stop. They never stop. The High Commander remembered early reports about humanity, a young species, inexperienced, given minor defensive roles by the Council. Easy prey. The intelligence had been wrong, catastrophically wrong. What are our options? He asked. Silence. I said, what are our options? We could retreat to our core systems, the intelligence officer said quietly. Fortify and prepare for their assault. Run from humans? Or we could negotiate. Sue for peace before they destroy us completely. The High Commander wanted to refuse. Pride demanded they fight to the last ship, but pride wouldn't save his empire. Open a channel, he said finally. Not to the Council. To the humans. Admiral Yuna received the Vren communication request at dawn. She had not slept in 40 hours. Coffee and sheer willpower kept her functioning. When she saw who was calling, she smiled. Patch it through, she told her staff. The Vren High Commander appeared on her screen. He looked old, tired. Yuna knew the feeling. Admiral Yuna, he said stiffly. High Commander, I wish to discuss terms. I'm listening. The Galactic Council has proposed a ceasefire. Both sides stand down. We negotiate a peace treaty. Everyone goes home. No, Yuna said simply. The High Commander's expression hardened. You refuse peace? I refuse a ceasefire that lets you rebuild and attack again in 5 years. You want peace? Surrender. Unconditionally. That is unacceptable. Then we keep fighting. Yuna leaned forward. Let me make something clear. Your empire has been at war with the Council for 83 cycles. That's a long time for them. We've been fighting for 15 years. That's barely a warm-up. You think we're tired? We're just getting started. You're bluffing. Your casualties are acceptable, Yuna interrupted. Every human who signed up for military service knew the risks. We don't quit because things get hard. We push through. It's what we do. The High Commander studied her face. You really mean that, every word? Here's what's going to happen. Your forces will stand down. Your ships will be interned. Your weapons will be decommissioned. You will accept Council supervision for the next 50 years, or we will systematically destroy every military asset you have. And if we refuse, then in 6 months you won't have an empire anymore. Only rubble and memories. The transmission ended. The High Commander stood silent for a long moment. Then he turned to his staff. They're insane. No, sir, his intelligence officer said quietly. They're human. There's a difference. Kang Day led his fleet toward the Vren core systems. Intelligence suggested the enemy was massing their remaining forces for a final defensive stand. It would be the largest battle of the war. Hana worked at her station, monitoring communications.
Captain, I'm picking up Vren military chatter.
They're arguing among themselves. Some commanders want to surrender, others want to fight to the end. How's morale? Shattered. They're calling us demons. Unstoppable. Some are saying we can't be killed, that we just keep coming back. Tay laughed from his station. Let them think that. Fear is a weapon too. It's not about fear, Kang Day said. It's about mathematics. We can sustain losses they can't. Not because we're stronger, but because we're willing to accept the cost. Is that really the difference? Hana asked. Part of it. The council species fight to avoid loss. The Vren fight to gain victory. Humans fight to achieve an objective. Loss, victory, those are just data points. What matters is completing the mission. Tay nodded. My grandfather fought in the resource wars on Mars. Told me about a battle where his unit was down to 30% strength. Command asked if they needed to pull back. He said no, they had an objective. Losses didn't change that. Did they complete it? With 14 people left alive, yes. Kang Day pulled up long-range scans. The Vren defense fleet was impressive. Over 100 warships well-positioned, ready to defend their homeworld. Hana, send a message to Admiral Yuna. Tell her we found their last stand. Request additional forces. How many? All of them. Earth's shipyards had been working non-stop for weeks. New vessels launched every day. Some were barely tested, crews still learning their systems, but they were functional, and they were ready. Dr. Sung personally inspected each new weapon system. This missile guidance package was installed wrong, he told a technician. Fix it. Sir, we're behind schedule. Command wants this ship in combat in 6 hours. Then work faster. I won't send crews out with faulty weapons. Sung's voice was steel. Quality matters. But the schedule, we'll adjust. Lives won't. Sung moved to the next ship. Speed is important, but speed that gets people killed is just waste. His assistant followed. Sir, at this rate, we'll only deliver 70 ships instead of 80. 70 working ships beat 80 broken ones. Keep standards high. Across Earth's military bases, soldiers trained for the final assault. They knew the statistics. Many would not return. Yet recruitment numbers kept rising. Volunteers lined up faster than training facilities could process them. Bo watched this phenomenon with clinical fascination. They conducted interviews trying to understand. Why did you volunteer? They asked a young woman named Rena. My brother died at Velios, Rena said, fighting to protect civilians. Someone needs to finish what he started. You could die too. Maybe, but that's not the point. What is the point? Winning. Making sure his sacrifice meant something. Rena met Bo's eyes. Humans don't quit just because things are hard. Bo interviewed dozens more. The answers varied, but the theme remained constant. Humans fought not because they were fearless, but because they refused to let fear stop them. It's remarkable, Bo told Yuna later. Council species fight until war becomes unbearable. Humans fight until victory becomes inevitable. That's the difference, Yuna agreed. We don't stop when we're tired. We stop when we're done. The Vren homeworld of Krell hung in space like a jewel. Billions lived on its surface. The defense fleet surrounded it in protective layers. It was the strongest defensive position the Vren had ever assembled. The human fleet arrived in overwhelming force. Kang Day counted over 200 ships on his tactical display. The largest human fleet ever assembled. Ships from Earth, Mars, Europa, and a dozen colony worlds. Veteran crews and raw recruits flying side by side. They're waiting for us, Tay observed. Let them wait. Kang Day opened channels to all ships. This is Captain Kang Day to all human forces. Today ends a war that's lasted over a century, not through surrender or ceasefire, but through victory. The enemy is prepared. They're in strong positions. They outnumber us in some categories, he paused. But they made one critical mistake. They're fighting to avoid losing. We're fighting to win. There's a difference. They have more to lose than we do. Every ship they lose weakens them. Every ship we lose just makes the rest of us more determined. Another pause. The council species told us 15 years was a long time. It's not for humans. We've barely started. So today, we show the galaxy what happens when you tell humans to quit. We show them what happens when you bet against human stubbornness. He smiled. All ships, begin attack run. Show them what 15 years of practice looks like. The battle for Krell lasted 4 days. It was not elegant. It was not clean. Ships died by the dozens. The void filled with debris and bodies. Both sides fought with desperation born of different needs. The Vren fought to survive. The humans fought to finish what they started. On the second day, Yule's stealth ships infiltrated the Vren rear lines and destroyed their supply stations. On the third day, Tay led a desperate charge that broke through their middle formation. On the fourth day, Dr. Sung's newest weapons pierced their defensive satellites. Throughout it all, human ships kept coming. When one fell, two more took its place. The Vren had never faced an enemy so relentless. Hana intercepted a Vren communication on the third day. A commander speaking to his crew. "They're not stopping." "Why won't they stop?" She sent the recording to Kang Day. He smiled grimly. "Because we're human. We don't know how." On the fourth day, the Vren High Commander watched his fleet crumble. 60% losses. Defensive positions collapsing. The humans pressing forward with mechanical precision. He had ruled an empire for 20 years. He had conquered dozens of worlds. He had never lost until now. "Open a channel," he told his communications officer. To the human commander, Kang Day's face appeared on screen. Tired, covered in ash from a fire on his bridge. But his eyes were clear and sharp. "High Commander," he said, "I am prepared to discuss surrender terms. No discussion needed. Unconditional surrender." The Vren surrender became official in a ceremony on the neutral world of Sanctuary. Representatives from all council species attended. The Vren High Commander signed documents with a shaking hand. His empire, 3,000 years old, was now subject to council oversight. Kang Day attended as humanity's military representative. He wore his dress uniform, cleaned for the first time in weeks. His crew had wanted to come, but only senior officers were allowed. "How does it feel?" Admiral Yuna asked him quietly. "To win a century-long war in 15 years? Expensive," Kang Day said. "We lost good people. We did. But we won. The council survived. The Vren threat is ended. Until the next war." Yuna smiled. "Always thinking ahead. Good, that's what kept you alive." The ceremony ended. Council species congratulated each other. They spoke of peace and reconstruction. They were relieved. After 83 cycles, the nightmare was finally over. But they also watched the humans carefully. With new respect, and perhaps a touch of fear. Speaker Vel approached Yuna as the crowds dispersed. "Admiral, the Council wishes to offer humanity a seat on the High Command. A permanent position, we accept. Just like that? No negotiation? The Council needs us. We know it, you know it. No point pretending otherwise." Vel's crystalline body flickered with complex colors. "Your species is different from what we expected. Because we fight differently? Because you don't seem to understand when you're supposed to stop fighting?" Yuna laughed. "Oh, we understand. We just don't agree. There's a difference. I'm beginning to see that." Vel paused. "Tell me truthfully, if the war had continued, how long could humanity have sustained it?" "Honestly, another decade. Maybe 2. After that, we'd have needed to slow down and rebuild. A decade. After 15 years of constant warfare, like I said, we were just getting started." Yuna looked around the chamber. "Your species fought for 83 cycles and needed to rest. I understand that. Different species, different endurance, but humans? We measure conflicts in generations. 15 years barely scratches our historical awareness. It's a terrifying thought. It should be. But it also means we're reliable allies. When we commit to something, we see it through." Vel processed this. "The Council would like human military advisors. To train our forces in your methods, and we can do that. But I should warn you, our methods aren't for everyone." "What do you mean?" "We fight to win, not to avoid losing. We accept casualties as part of the cost. We push through exhaustion. Not every species can do that. Perhaps that's something we need to learn." Kang Day returned to Earth 3 months later. His fleet was granted a hero's parade. Millions lined the streets of cities across the planet. They cheered for the ships that had saved the Council. They mourned the crews that didn't return. At the memorial service, Kang Day stood before thousands of empty chairs. Each one represented a human who had died in the war. Soldiers, engineers, pilots, medics. People who had volunteered knowing the risks. "They told us to stop," he said to the silent crowd. The Council ordered a ceasefire. They wanted peace. They were tired. He paused. Our people kept fighting. Not because they were bloodthirsty. Not because they wanted glory. But because they understood something the Council had forgotten. Sometimes peace requires victory first. Sometimes stopping means letting evil win. The crowd listened in silence. We lost good people. People who should have lived long lives, had families, seen their children grow. Instead, they died in the void between stars, fighting to protect species they'd never met. Kang Day's voice cracked slightly. But they won, because humans don't quit. We don't stop when we're tired. We stop when we're done. And now we're done. The memorial lasted 6 hours. Every name read aloud. Every sacrifice acknowledged. Afterward, Tay found Kang Day standing alone looking at the stars. "Sir, there's a bar in the old district. Good drinks, quiet atmosphere. Some of the crew are heading there. You should come. I'm not much for crowds right now, it's just us. People who understand." Tay smiled. "Besides, someone needs to make sure the war stories don't get too exaggerated." Kang Day laughed. "Too late for that. I heard someone say we destroyed 50 dreadnoughts at Velios. It was only 5? 5 is still impressive. Not when the story calls for 50. Tay turned to leave, then stopped. "Sir, permission to speak freely?" "Always. What you said at the memorial, about humans not quitting. That's not quite right." Kang Day raised an eyebrow. "We do quit," Tay continued. "We quit being afraid. We quit accepting defeat. We quit letting others define what's possible. We quit following rules that don't make sense, but fighting for what's right, protecting people who need it, that we never quit. That's a much better way to put it. I have my moments." Tay grinned. "Now come have a drink. That's an order from your subordinate. That's not how orders work. I'm human. We don't follow rules, remember?" Hana received a promotion and was assigned to lead the new Galactic Intelligence Network. She built it from scratch, combining human techniques with Council resources. Within a year, the network detected and prevented 3 potential conflicts before they escalated. Dr. Sung became the Council's chief weapons researcher. He spent his days making sure Council species had the tools to defend themselves. But he kept humanity's most advanced designs secret. "Just in case, trust but verify," he told his assistant, "and keep our best weapons locked away. Hope we never need them, but be ready if we do." Commander Yule retired from active service and opened a training academy for stealth operations. Students came from dozens of species eager to learn human tactics. He taught them patience, precision, and the value of striking where the enemy didn't expect. "War isn't about fighting fair," he told his classes. "It's about winning while losing as few people as possible. Honor is good. Victory is better. Victory with minimal casualties is best." Bo published their research on human warfare psychology. It became required reading at military academies across Council space. The central thesis was simple. Humans viewed war as a temporary state, not a permanent condition. They fought to end conflicts, not to manage them. "Other species adapt to war," Bo wrote. "Humans adapt war to their needs. This fundamental difference in perspective makes them uniquely dangerous as enemies and uniquely valuable as allies." Admiral Yuna was elected to the Council's high command. She was the first human to hold the position. Some species had objected, worried about putting too much power in human hands. The objection stopped when Yuna pointed out humanity had saved the Council while following orders would have doomed it. "We don't want to rule the galaxy," she told the assembled Council. "We just want to protect it. Give us enemies to fight and we're happy. Give us peace and we'll find something else to do. But never ever tell us to quit when we're just getting started." Counselor Mina became the Council's Secretary General, the highest diplomatic position. She worked tirelessly to integrate humanity more fully into galactic society. Under her leadership, human colonies expanded, trade flourished, and cultural exchange programs connected Earth with dozens of worlds. "We are not just warriors," she often said. "We're also artists, scientists, philosophers, and dreamers. War is what we do when we must, but it's not who we are." 20 years after the Vren surrender, a new threat emerged. The Kresh, a species from beyond Council space, began raiding outer worlds. They were fast, aggressive, and technologically advanced. Early reports suggested they had weapons that could match or exceed Council capabilities. The Council debated how to respond. Some wanted diplomacy. Others suggested fortifying borders and hoping the Kresh would leave them alone. A few proposed a preemptive strike. Admiral Yuna, now elderly but still sharp, listened to the debates with barely concealed impatience. "With respect," she said when they asked her opinion, "you're overthinking this. What would you suggest? Speaker Vel asked. The Kresh attacked our worlds. They killed our people. The response is obvious. War. Defense, Yuna corrected. We defend our borders. We protect our people. If the Kresh want peace, they can stop attacking. If they want war, we give them war. But we've been at peace for 20 years, another counselor protested. Our forces are not at peak readiness, Yuna smiled. It was the smile that had terrified the Vren High Commander decades ago. 20 years of peace? By human standards, we're getting restless. Let me contact our military command. We'll handle the Kresh, by yourselves, if necessary. Though I suspect other council species will want to join once we start winning. Kang De, now a retired admiral, received Yuna's message at his home outside Seoul. He read it twice, then called his old crew. The war's back on, he told them. New enemy. Same principles. Who wants in? Every single person responded within an hour. Yes, Hana, working at intelligence headquarters, immediately began analyzing Kresh communication patterns. Within 3 days, she had cracked their basic encryption. Within a week, she knew their fleet positions, supply routes, and command structure. They're good, she told Yuna, but they're predictable. They follow a rigid tactical doctrine. We can exploit that. Dr. Sung came out of semi-retirement to examine Kresh weapon samples. His analysis was brutal. Their technology is advanced. But it's not flexible. They've optimized for specific scenarios. Change the scenario and their advantages disappear. Can we change the scenario?